This is Eric Campbell. You can find me at ericcampbell.com.
This is Brian Walker with Image Armor Pretreatment and Inks.
Johnny Shell with SGIA.
Scott Fresner with T-Biz Network International.
And you're listening to Two Regular Guys
Podcast,
hosted by Terry Combs
and Aaron Montgomery.
If you're not listening, you're missing out.
All right. Well, welcome into the show. It is Friday, February 19th, 2021. I'm Terry Combs, and you can find me at terrycombs.com.
And I'm Aaron Montgomery, and you can find me over at oursuccessgroup.com. Terry, today we're going to be talking about niche markets now more than ever. And yeah, it's one of our favorite topics, and we just have not... we haven't talked about it as much lately. So
we've had so many guests lined up, Aaron, that I think we sometimes forget to do shows with just you and me.
Yeah, exactly. So we're excited about that. In just a moment, we're going to welcome in Cheryl Kucheck from Sublimation Summit, and we're going to get an update on the virtual event coming up. So we'll still have a guest, Terry, but after we get a chance to learn about Sublimation Summit, we'll come back and we'll talk about the niche market. And really, like you titled it, Terry, I think this title is perfect now more than ever, right? I mean, it's so important that we do that. So
yeah, and we'll get into that. The hows and whys of now more than ever, but it's really important in times like now, like we're living through.
Yeah, exactly. So just checking in with a couple of the regulators here first, though, Terry. Christine says, "Good morning, gentlemen." And like I said before we started the show, I said, where are those gentlemen? But anyways, we've got Wade checking in, and Richard, cold, South Louisiana. Kevin says, "Good morning. Save me from this ice and snow." Terry, do you want to give your Phoenix weather report?
Let's see. It's only gonna get to 72 today. So burr.
and you guys doing okay? How's the sunshine coming?
It's 9 inches, and it's still coming down. There's no end in sight, and it's going to be in the 80s this weekend. So, hey, but you know what? While you were shoveling snow, I had a lot of wind the other day, and I had to clean some leaves off the top of my pool. I had to skim it. So, hey, we all have our burdens to bear.
Yeah. That's I feel for you as we dig out in negative whatever. Which and again, I'm certainly not complaining. I know that other folks in other areas have it much worse, and it's a lot colder. But we're just not used to that. Even though. And I'm not used to it being from Phoenix still. I still hang on to my Phoenix hat, even though I've been gone for 10 years.
Yeah. But well, my son lives in Austin, and they are finally not having blackouts. He was at a point where they were having 10 minutes of power on, 30 off, 10 on, 30 off. So he's working from home, right? So he gets emails ready, and then as soon as the power goes on, send.
It's that offline. Man, all right. Well, interesting. You gotta get a hotspot or something. I don't know. That's tough.
Yeah, I don't know.
So let's see here. Yeah, lots of other folks checking in, Nan and Arnett and TJ says tough life, Terry. So you can live in Phoenix too.
I was going to say anybody can live here. There's there's no checking your Minnesota ID at the border to say, "Oops, sorry, we're all full of Minnesotans."
That's right. So yeah, because you're an Ohioan, I guess. You came from Maryland first, right? That was your last stop before Phoenix was Maryland, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. I mean, I was only there for 8 months before, primarily Kansas City. So. Yeah,
that's right. All right. And then good friend Doug checking in says, "Good morning," in quotes, "gentlemen," from Williamsburg, Virginia. Sorry. So now it's more appropriate, Doug. Thank you. We got it right.
He knows what he's talking about.
Exactly. So. He's hung out with us. All right. Well, let's do this, Terry. Thank you guys so much for checking in. Good morning to everybody that we can get a chance to say good morning to yet. We're looking forward to having your comments, your feedback, your thoughts on niche marketing here in just a little bit. But we also want you guys to know about this really cool event coming up. Actually, second year now that Cheryl's done this as a virtual event. There are going to be live events as well, and we'll talk to her about that. But let's go ahead and bring Cheryl in here, Terry, and we'll find out what this Sublimation Summit's all about.
All right.
Hello, Cheryl. How are you?
Hi, good to see both of you. How are you?
Hi, Cheryl. Great, Cheryl. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, I appreciate you
Thank
being
you
here.
for having me. Thank you. This is
Sure.
exciting. And we're only, 2.5 weeks away or something like that? I mean, it's like upon us.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I was
That's
at the
for sure.
website. Yep. I was at the website and you have the countdown there. I think that's really cool. And it said 18 days. So yikes.
Please don't make me nervous.
I was going to say that may have made you jump a little bit there. But so for folks that aren't familiar, Cheryl, what is Sublimation Summit?
Okay, well, it is a virtual conference that was birthed out of, obviously COVID, because I was hell bent on having the in-person last year. It was in September, and surely COVID was going to be over and it was not going to be an issue. And I was, and everybody was doing virtual. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm going to be the last one holding out. And then realize that the thing that really got me over the hump of doing it was the thought of having to be 6 feet apart, and nobody's going to be able to hug. Nobody's going to be able to talk to you. And I'm like, I can't do this. I can't. So I just said, I caved in and said, I'm going to look into it. And so we had an amazing event. Of course, you were part of that, Aaron. We had 500 people sign up, but actually only about 300 and something. It was really kind of odd, but only about 372 or 75 or whatever actually registered for the online classes, because they really were, they had to work the whole time. So they said, we'll watch the classes after, which is exactly what they did. So it was really interesting. So we are going to do the same thing that we did last year, which is we will have, if they buy a ticket, they will be able to watch it from once we get them uploaded April 1st to May 31st.
Okay.
And we have 59 classes right now. I mean, it's insane. Yeah. So March the 10th through the 12th, and it's going to be jam-packed. As always, I just want to share some of the classes that we have, because they're so cool. We actually have a copyright attorney coming in to speak to us. We know that there are some people who like Disney, and they like to put them on their shirts and on their mugs. And so anyway,
isn't that okay?
Well, it just depends on if you're Disney. And then we have Aaron. He will be there representing our success group with 2 classes. And I know one that's going to probably have everyone in, and that's the Facebook and Instagram shops. That's going to be awesome. People are going to love that.
Yep.
We have a bookkeeping company that's coming in to teach hobbyists how to make money and keep their books. Imagine that.
Awesome.
Pay their taxes.
Wow, that's going to be something. We have Trotec. They'll be there representing lasers. We have new companies coming in with blanks that people are not familiar with. That's I believe, really going to blow people away. We have our keynote speaker will be Sean Copeland again, and awesome. He is the Secretary of Commerce for the state of Oklahoma. He's amazing. We will have our Q&A panel, which is made up of people like Aaron and Sean Copeland, David Gross, Chris Bernay. It's going to be awesome. That was one of the highlights last year that people loved. I'm doing a class with Ashley called Cheryl and Ashley Gone Wild.
Is this an after hours class? Or is this...
Well, it's Cheryl and Ashley Gone Wild with Artistry. Put that in there, right?
Yeah. Don't forget that part.
Yeah, let's not forget that. We have so many classes. Like I said, we have 59 classes. We have a 3D oven class that so many people have asked about that. We have laser. We have, of course, Photoshop. We have Corel Draw. And again, one thing I'd like to say is that I think people who take these classes, they need to take the classes because there's going to be 3 classes per hour. So they need to take the one that they feel like they're going to have questions, because the other ones they can watch later. But the ones that they might have questions on, they're going to want to have the live version of it so that they can ask questions. It's going to be pretty awesome.
Cheryl, a lot of the events recently you haven't had the opportunity to ask questions, so I think that's huge.
Yeah. Well, and another thing that I think differentiates us is that ours are all live, so there is no videos. I mean, there might be a snippet of a video, but it's not going to be a video class, and so. Everything is live. I mean, we have people. I have one coming in from Austria that's going to be doing it, one from Germany. So we have people like literally around the world that will be teaching some classes. So and one that we have in Austria, he's going to be teaching on how to set up, let me get his class here. How to set up a home video studio for sublimation, finding the right gear, and his second class is setting everything up. So I think it's going to be really awesome. So so we have so much. I mean, what's trending in 2021. And of course, we have Jimmy Lamb. He's very popular, very funny.
How could you have a sublimation event without Jimmy Lamb, right?
I know, right? I mean, seriously. So, yeah.
Well, Cheryl, everybody's chomping at the bit here. How do they sign up for this event?
Okay, they can go to www.sublimationsummitlive.com, and then you can go to registration, or you can just go to sublimationsummit.com. And I believe you guys have a coupon code, Aaron.
We do. Yep. You can use the code OSG and use that.
It's OSG 25, I believe, right?
Okay. I thought it was OSG, but OSG 25.
It might be. So it's either OSG or OSG 25.
Okay.
Yeah, try both of those.
$25 off.
Yeah.
Or try OSG. Yeah, you know me. Try that.
That's GSG, Terry. There's just too many acronyms. Okay, yeah, perfect. So we'll confirm that. Sorry about that, Joe. I always had it as OSG.
It's one or the other. We'll just let you know.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Easy.
certainly will.
There you go. And cool. So sublimationsummitlive.com. And also, I think people need to get over there and just check it out, because you get to see, like, I love the 3D, right? I mean, it's like you're in an actual trade show hall in a sense.
I mean, it is really a cool platform. Yeah, we're really excited about it. And, we have all the industry experts in there for sublimation. And of course, I love that. I really do. And, one of these days, Terry, I got to somehow weave you in there.
You don't have a place for a screen printing DTG guy?
People, they're like, how does that have anything to do with sublimation? I want to know.
Yeah.
We'll one day expand those horizons. But
Nice.
I also want to say that our plan is to have a live in-person event, which of course Aaron is scheduled to speak at as well. September 29th through October the 2nd in Peachtree City, Georgia. And we're super excited and that really hoping. And actually, the Washington Post just put out something today that said that they believe that by April that the majority of the people will have a built up an immunity to COVID. Now, if you believe the news.
Yeah, exactly. That's fingers crossed there for sure.
I know. I
Yeah.
mean, hey, it could be a 50-50, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Who knows? Well, that's cool. Yeah, I'm excited about getting back out there to Peachtree City. That place is beautiful, and it was just such a great event. Had such a wonderful time the last time.
Yeah.
Gosh, it's almost been 2 years now, though. I can't believe it.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really crazy. It really is.
Yeah.
But it's awesome.
Yeah, cool. So sublimationsummitlive.com is where you check that out and get over there and get registered. Only 18 days left. You guys close registration or you leave it open right till the day of?
Well, I had such a problem last year with complaints about closing it that we are going to leave it open until probably the day before.
The day before. Okay.
Yeah, I think so. So on the 9th, we will probably close it. So
okay.
Perfect.
Well, just do it today. Just do it today.
Exactly. I agree. Yeah.
Hey, Cheryl, and then you and I are going to go deeper tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Central Time. So, I'll give everybody the rundown on that a little bit later in the show here today, but you and I will talk more sublimation, more trends. I want to get into some of these classes, and Wendy's confirmed coupon code is OSG. Just registered.
Thank you, Wendy. Thank you.
There we go. Awesome. All right, Cheryl. Well, thank you so much for your time today, and looking forward to talking to you tomorrow morning.
Yes. Take care, you guys. Thank you so much. You guys are all gracious. Thank you.
All right, cool. Sublimation Summit. So that's not a Wendy's coupon. That's a
no. It is not. You don't get a Frosty.
Sign up, get a Frosty. Yeah.
One other thing I didn't mention, I should have. Well, Cheryl's here. Cheryl does such a great job of giving back and doing so much for the sublimation community that gave us coupon code and all that kind of fun stuff. So I wanted to also give of myself and of our success group. So if you'll let us know that you did, Wendy, I'm going to send it over to you. But anybody else that's used our coupon code, used OSG, just let us know. And I will send you just a quick white paper that I put together of my top 10 sublimation tips. So
nice.
Feel free to just email me or DM me or whatever easiest way. You can find me just about anywhere. Just reach out to me and let me know that you're going to Sublimation Summit, and I will send you that top 10 sublimation tips document as well. So
awesome.
And then Janessa did have a question, and I know that the answer to this question. So Cheryl will be posting the Sublimation Summit afterwards. I think she said April 1st, and it will be available to watch after the fact all the way until I think it was May 31st, if I remember right. So I'll confirm that with Cheryl tomorrow morning on Small Business Saturdays, so we can find that out and let you know, Janessa. So, all right, Terry. Well, let's talk a little bit of news before we get into niche markets here. Speaking of shows and live events and whatnot, announcement just came across that the DAX Chicago Land event has been moved, not canceled, moved, which is good, and that has, moved to August 27th through the 28th. So Scott and Margie had high hopes of bringing the first show in the industry in over a year this April, but the government has contracted the Tinley Park Convention Center to be used as a COVID vaccination center through the end of March. The management of the convention center expects that the government will renew the contract at least through the end of April, which would force the DAX show out. So they requested that DAX moves and reschedules their show. So it's been rescheduled to August 27th through the 28th. But they do have their virtual seminars coming up really soon. So get over to daxshow.com and get signed up for those. Both myself, Terry, and Eric, and a bunch of other fantastic speakers are going to be over there at DAX as well. So
exactly. That one kind of caught me by surprise. You can't have your trade show because we're giving vaccines in your location.
Yeah. It's there's been a lot of reasons that shows have been moved or canceled or whatnot, and I think that's the first time we've heard that one so far. So as far as I can tell,
I remember last year the Minnesota DAX show was basically because no one at the reservation where the Indian reservation where they were doing the show was answering the phone.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, they had shut down and you couldn't reach them, and so it's like, well, I guess we're not having a show since nobody's there. All right, well, what other news you got, Terry?
The Association for Creative Industries has announced the winners of its Hall of Fame Award, Special Recognition Award, Industry Achievement Award, Brick and Mortar Retail Award, and the Meritorious Award of Honor and Emerging Leaders Awards for excellence in the industry, service, and philanthropy. These individuals will be recognized at Creativation Plus, featuring Art Materials World, and that's taking place March 15th through 19th. A lot of awards there, but the Hall of Fame Award inductees who are pioneers in the industry, who make extraordinary contributions leading to the growth and success of their organizations and the creative arts industry. This year's inductees are John Berquist from Help Heal Veterans, Jan Carr, former COO and Vice President of Sales for Clover Products, Cindy Groom-Harry, former CEO of Craft Marketing Connection, and Jerry Honeman from Ben Franklin Stores, formerly HIA chairman. You can read more about these and all the awards at creativeindustries.org.
All right, cool. Check that out. Some we want to just kind of bring information from all across. I think that's a little maybe just slightly outside of our world, but promotional products, recognition, creative industries, obviously all part of that. So appreciate you sharing that, and appreciate you taking the hard one too, Terry. I would have not been able to pronounce half that stuff. So you did a very, very good job. So real quick here, Terry, Kevin had a comment that I wanted to just cover real quick. Once these shows get up and going again, can you use your poll to get something in Nashville? So Terry, I think he's talking to you because I have.
I'm
kidding.
Doing well. I do classes in Nashville for Atlas Green Supply, but right now they've only scheduled in-person classes in Chicago for right now. But definitely pushing to get back into Nashville myself. Nashville's kind of an expensive town for hotels. I'll just say that, for conventions.
Yeah, and not only the hotels being expensive, Terry, the convention center is gorgeous, but unfortunately, I think they're still having to pay for it because out of when I used to be in charge of trade shows for Coastal, the most expensive show that we did every year was the shows that they had in Nashville.
Right,
but I think Embroidery Mart might still do a show there. The NNEP folks.
I think you're right. Yeah,
but I don't, obviously they've had to not do their in-person shows as well. So, as everything comes back online, see what happens, because I think ISS used to do a show there in Nashville too. At least
just a few years ago.
Yeah. So, there definitely are shows there, but it was always the most expensive, drayage was always crazy expensive. The hotels were crazy expensive. It was definitely one of the most expensive trade shows we did every year. And, and that included like Atlantic City, New Jersey, which is also a pretty expensive place to do a trade show.
Because you can't get there from here.
Exactly. Exactly. So, all right, Terry, let's, Kevin says ISS bolted a couple of years ago. So, I can't remember when that was. And then Mar says, instead of Nashville, try Murfreesboro, about 30 minutes away, or even Franklin.
Murfreesboro. Yeah.
Murfreesboro. Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah.
And then Christine says NNEP has moved shows around because of the cost of shows in Nashville. All right, there we go.
Well, my entire family's from Johnson City, Tennessee. Maybe we could do it there.
Okay. You think they have a place big enough for that? Or?
They have a university there, East Tennessee State University.
There we go. All right. So let's make it happen. I don't even know. We don't even have a show, but let's make it happen. All right. So Terry, it is that time of the show, even though we're 24 minutes in. I'm sure people are getting a little jumpy right now because they have not had their fill of dad jokes yet. So what do you got for us this week, sir?
Well, we just had an unmanned landing on Mars, so I think a space joke is in order, don't you?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
All right. So why do astronauts only use Mac computers?
I don't know, Terry. Why do astronauts only use Mac computers?
Because everyone knows you can't open Windows in space. Come on, that was a good one.
That was a good one. Yeah, Eric gives it his thumbs up as well. So, all right.
All right. Before we jump in, Aaron, we want to thank everyone for checking out the Two Regular Guys podcast. We are always looking for new guests. If you or anyone you know would like to join us, go to calendly.com/2. That's the number 2, Regular Guys, with your show ideas. If you are listening to the podcast version, we would appreciate you sharing with your friends so they can become regulators too. Plus, we would love and appreciate you giving us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and now on Amazon Podcasts. This is really important to us, you guys, so get out there and give us some reviews. If you are watching us live right now, please join in with your comments and questions and your own niche markets and reach out to your industry friends so they can join us right now too.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Even if you don't listen to the podcast version, you just catch the live version, still go over to all of those places, Amazon Podcast, Stitcher, Apple Podcast, and put a review anyhow, right? Okay. So just do us a favor. That would really help. We'd appreciate that. Tell them how much you love the dad jokes, because even Christine laughed at that one. Sorry, I'm touching buttons. All right. Well, Terry, let's talk some niche marketing here. Like I said, you came up with the title for this show, and I think it was very well done. Why should we pursue them now more than ever? What's the reasoning there?
Well, everything's changed obviously in the last year, and there was a time a year ago,
way back, right?
when you could hang out your shingle and say, I am a sublimation printer, I am a screen printer, I'm a direct-to-garment printer, I do vinyl. You could actually attract people to your business and make a living doing it. But those days have kind of passed us by, at least for the time being. Just hanging out your generic shingle and saying, hey, I am a product decorator. It's hard to attract clients. What you really need to do is be able to drill down a little bit and say, okay, I am a decorator for this marketplace, and I'm the person that you need to go to for your car shirts or for your well, let me I talked to someone yesterday and she goes, Terry, I'm kind of embarrassed to tell you, we did $1 million this year in hand towels and coffee mugs. She said $900,000 of it were off-color sayings on coffee mugs. And she goes, I try to sell the nice stuff, but everybody wants the off-color stuff. But that's her niche. That's her niche marketplace. And she doesn't have people walking in her door anymore, or not nearly the way she used to. Most of her sales are on Amazon. And again, $1 million in coffee mugs, that's a couple of bucks. So, but she has, again, drilled down to a niche where people are attracted to her. That we print anything, and I always talk about that. One of my competitors, when I started screen printing, their slogan was "We print anything." We print anything. You're not going to survive today as we print anything if you are trying to attract new business. Now, your old customers, they're probably there, but attracting new business, you got to have 1 or 2 or 3 specific niche markets where you're the expert.
Yeah. And Terry, you mentioned that your old customers are probably there, but here's the maybe the way to flip that and think about it in this way is that your old customers, the ones that are there, the ones that are your through thick and thin with you, that's your niche, right? Those are the
true.
that so you might not think that you have a niche or I have to be everything to everybody, but you do have a niche if you've got customers, and finding what the commonality, finding what the theme is, finding what attracted those customers to you is the important part. And it's why we talk so much about this niche marketing. Some of the comments were Eric and Todd both said the riches are in the niches. and that's 100% true. So
There's something about the niches being crazy too. I can't remember.
Yeah. Niches be crazy. Yep. So, I think that's why we love this concept so much, and that's why it's more important now more than ever, is because we do have to realize that we serve a specific segment of the market. It's the as the saying goes, if you try to be everything to everybody, you end up being nothing to nobody, because you can't connect with anybody, right? So,
and today, Aaron, that customer that trips over you, that happens to be walking by your store and goes, "Oh yeah, I need some t-shirts," and goes in the door.
Yeah.
That's not happening. Even if your store is open, if you peek out on the street, there's not a whole lot of people walking by.
yeah, exactly. Gusta from Sweden says, my wife is good at coloring horses and dogs and embroidery, so we stick to those customers in the first place. And exactly, so there's the niche.
Exactly.
So
I love it.
And Dale says, if you print anything, you will find something that you are not comfortable printing. So,
well, true. We had that show. Was it 2 weeks ago?
Which one was that? Sorry.
About should I be printing this?
Oh, should I be printing this? Yes. There you go. Yeah, that was a couple weeks ago. Well, so I guess, Terry, before we get into some actual concepts here in the niche, the other thing that I wanted to talk about here real quick with this is something that came up on a show a couple of weeks back as well. Again, the dates all kind of run together, but when we had Pete Loveless on the show with us, right? He talked about that concept of the fact that they've got a niche that they serve, and as things got difficult, they had to pivot, right? But you can't pivot if you're trying to be everything to everybody, because you don't know what your customers' new needs are, because you don't know who your customers are. And Pete made a comment that I think, and I'm maybe now my eyes are open to it more. That's why I'm seeing it more. But at the same time, I'm seeing a lot more people talking about this idea of the fact that we're not necessarily in the decorating business anymore as much. We're now becoming more about the fulfillment side of the business and the logistics side of the business. And, people that had never shipped a product in their lives are now having to figure out how to ship things and those kinds of things. And so I think that's the other thing that makes niche markets so important, Terry, is that if you can't be close, if you can't be really understanding of what your niche market is and what their needs are, you will not be able to pivot when things get crazy. So,
well, true. And you have to understand, you can't just say, okay, today I'm going to do racing, that quarter-mile race. What is that? Drag racing. Today I'm going to be a drag race. I'm going to do drag racing shirts. Well, if you don't know anything about drag racing, no one's going to buy from you, because you're going to show your cards immediately that you're just grasping at straws. So, you have to have an intimate knowledge of that marketplace.
Exactly. Or at least an intimate desire, because there are times where your niche will come out of something that maybe maybe it's a customer or something like that, but you have that connection, you have that mechanism that allows you to gain the intimate knowledge, and you got to put in the work to do it. So I agree with that 100%. Arnett says, I'm still lost when it comes to finding my niche.
I know what seminars she could go to at the DAX show.
That's a good point. It is a seminar about finding your niche. Yes, that I will be doing April 7th. It's also a big part. It's unfortunately, it's not one of those things that you can just go, okay, Terry, I got 5 minutes here. I'm going to figure out what my niche is. Right. It's just, this is kind of like, this is business planning. You've got to understand your strengths and weaknesses. You do a SWOT analysis. You got to have a why. You got to have a mission statement and some of these things. And so finding your niche is definitely a process, and you do need to basically just keep asking yourself a lot of questions until you can find a pattern.
And one of those questions is pretty simple. What am I passionate about? What are my interests? Because there's a type of decoration that goes with any and every interest you have out there. So
Yeah.
That's maybe that's a good starting point to sit and ponder over lunch today.
Yeah, I like that. And Terry, I'll continue to admit it, even though we've agreed that once we borrow something from somebody, we only have to give them credit once, and then it becomes mine. But I continue to give you credit for this one, and I love your idea, your concept of sitting down with whatever your yellow legal pad, and yep, and just forcing yourself to write down 20 things, right? And no thinking about not you're not sitting there like forever. You're just writing anything that comes to mind, 20 things at a time, and in there you're going to find some
Gyms.
Thank you. That's what I was looking for. Yes, thank you, Terry. Some gems, and you're going to have some crap in there too. But you find the gems, and you take the gems out of there, and then you can kind of extrapolate from there. So
some will be diamonds, some will be synthetic.
exactly. We could talk about this for a super long time, I believe. So maybe we'll keep moving on. But let's get a couple of comments from the regulators here. Ramona says, I've been telling my clients to find 1 and 2 niches to focus on. I tell them to find something they enjoy, and they will find others that enjoy the same thing. I have one client that supports her embroidery business on Boston Terriers. Yeah. So what is it you're passionate about? And then Eric says, I drew a line in the stand about 2 years ago and said our niche is construction companies, caps, hoodies, cards, and safety gear. We became the construction experts in the Northwest. Perfect.
That's an excellent and a perfect example of a niche market.
Completely. And the other thing I love about this coming from Eric too, is that I think a lot of times, and I know I've been guilty of this for sure, is you go, okay, I need to make sure that I get all the business I can get. So I don't want to, be too focused, because then what happens is somebody from outside of the, in Eric's case, the construction world wants to do business, but you have to change that mindset. You have to realize that it has nothing to do with that. So if somebody, and Eric can tell us if this is true or not, and I believe that it is true, I'd be shocked if it's not. But if somebody outside the construction world came to Eric and said, hey, I need to get this done, he's not going to say no.
Right.
But
look at Brett Bowden, our buddy at Printed Threads down in Fort Worth, Texas, who's probably not got electricity right now.
Yeah,
I did hear him crying a little bit on Facebook the last few days. But he's the rock and roll shirt guy, and the guys, the men and women that work for him, they're from the rock and roll industry, and the Dallas Mavericks came searching for them because they wanted their shirts to look like rock shirts. Yep. So he didn't say, "Oh, sorry, you don't have a band." So
exactly, yeah. So that's a perfect example, Terry, for sure. Is in that, and so what stops us from really kind of going all in on our niche passionately is that we're worried about the fact that we're going to lose business, but it's actually the opposite. If you are trying to be everything to everybody, you're going to lose business. If you're focused on a niche, you're going to get more business, because then it expands from there, and you have less to do. All you're doing is focusing on your niche. You're not worried about, okay, let me try to figure out how to talk to these people. You're focused on your niche, and then it comes in. And Eric says, correct. I do not say no to other orders, but I look at them case by case. But
in Eric's case, who do construction folks know? Other construction folks. Hey, where'd you get those shirts? Where'd you get those hats? Yep. Where'd you get those hoodies?
Yep. And Dean says we do well with equestrian. So
very nice.
Yeah. And Dean also mentioned that they went from 0 to 700 packages last year in shipping. So what a learning curve. And it is a learning curve. And unfortunately, even if you are experienced in shipping, there's still challenges and learning curves. Even the shipping companies themselves are experiencing challenges that they could have never imagined that they would be facing. Right. So, I
sent an overnight sample package to a customer in Oklahoma City a week ago Thursday, and he got it. Overnight, 7 overnights. He got it yesterday.
So you selected the service that didn't specific which overnight. It was just going to be some
Right.
combination of overnights.
Exactly.
No, it's a challenge for everybody, and so again, but understanding what's important to your niche is going to be the way that you learn. That you overcome that learning curve. So, it's just one of those things that you got to do. So, all right, Terry, great stuff. Nan said finding my niche has taken me a while, as you know, and that I helped her find it. Real quick though, to kind of wrap up this part, Terry, about Nan's comment there, and it just boils down to, again, just asking a lot of questions, understanding what it is that lights you up, right? Because we can't connect with groups of people that we're not lit up about, that we're not excited about, that we don't have this opportunity to kind of go, okay, I want to talk to you and you want to talk to me because we have common ground and we get excited about it, right? You could sit and talk, for me, if I run across somebody who's passionate about volleyball, we could sit and talk for hours about stuff that, other people, maybe Terry, you would sit there and go, yeah. Because I think you've actually, unfortunately, had to be part of some of that stuff where I'm having a volleyball conversation and you're sitting there going, Aaron, come on, let's seriously, let's.
Usually in those conversations, I'm kind of doing this.
Exactly.
I'm the smallest guy in the room.
Yeah. But it has nothing to do with the fact that Terry and I don't get along or that he doesn't like me. We're not connecting right then because I'm lit up about something else. And that's the same thing that goes for niche marketing and kind of experiencing a niche and focusing on a niche, is that you get lit up about that. So you can have those conversations. People come to you and they enjoy that. So, all right. So Terry, let's talk about some concepts. You've got some great ones here. I added a couple as well, but we've got still a little bit of time. So get into some specific concepts for niche here for folks to borrow or use for inspiration.
Well, I'm borrowing this one, and I will credit Jay Bussell, and because I thought this was a really great idea.
It was the first time he told you, right? So after this, it's yours.
Yeah, after this, it's mine.
Okay, all right.
And well, maybe later we're going to be on Jay's. You and I are going to be on Jay's show, so I guess I'll give him an extra.
You give him credit twice, and then it's over. Okay, got it.
But Jay's idea is. Here's a business over here. I'm a decorator over here. There's a business that has customers that maybe they're not doing business with right now, or you just want to keep in touch with them. Keep that connection for when that business is open and up and running again. And it's basically it's a care package. And depending on what kind of decorator, these are the packages that you might offer. But maybe it's a shirt, maybe it's a coffee mug, maybe it's a couple of masks, all in the same package with a personalized note from company XYZ over here saying, hey, just thinking about you, looking forward to doing business again in 2021. And you as the decorator, you're also doing fulfillment. You just get the list of their customers and you put that package together and you send it out, and the customer over there, XYZ company, takes the credit for it. But it's just one of those kind of reminder things. Hey, we're still here for you when you're ready. And I think that end customer, whether it's an individual or whether it's a business, I think they appreciate the fact that company XYZ over here is thinking about them. You in the middle are putting this package together, doing fulfillment for it and sending it out to the customer. So I think there's a lot of potential to reach out to businesses with this concept, and you don't have to do anything but send us a list. We'll take care of the rest of it for you. And of course, people will pay a premium for that. People pay a premium for fulfillment type services.
Yeah, because there's time and energy involved in that on their side. And if they can offload that, then there's value there, right? So they'll pay a premium for that. Yeah. So the other thing I love about that, Terry, is the fact that I guess the thing that I always think about as we've gone through this whole year of COVID and Zoom calls and the having beers over Zoom and all this stuff, right? So we all kind of lament the fact that we've lost some of that connection. We've lost
Right.
some of that human connection that you get by doing face-to-face type stuff. And I believe that's true. But what I love is that our industry actually is the perfect gateway for that, right? So
Yeah,
we can
exactly.
we can create products, something I can have, So if Terry was trying to maybe Terry was our success group, right? And he sent me this mug, and we're going to have a conversation about it. And I've got this thing that I can hold in my hand that is, it's not obviously as good as being able to shake Terry's hand or give him a hug or whatever, but it's something tangible that I can actually touch and feel that I don't get over a Zoom call or on a video or something like that. So we have that ability as decorators, a shirt, a mug, a mask, it's that reminder, it's that connection with that person. And I think that's why people like to have, I love wearing stuff that's got my logo on it and that type of thing. And so same thing can be said for.
And Aaron, everybody loves to get a package, especially a surprise package in the mail, and they remember it. It's just like, and I've told this story. I don't know. I probably haven't told it recently, but back when VCRs first came out,
was that when you first told the story? Okay.
Yeah. Well, I've gotten lots of bonuses from companies I've worked for over the years, and I could barely remember who or when or how much, but I will always remember walking into my office when I worked for a company called Crown Favor Company, and there was a brand new VCR sitting on my desk, and with a note that says, "Just wanted you to know how much we appreciate what you do for us," from the president of the company. I never ever forgot that gift. It just was so meaningful because it was just out of the blue as a surprise. I think it's the same thing here. I think somebody gets this package in the mail, they are always going to remember that you did this for them. So, and so we as decorators can facilitate that whole interaction.
Yeah, I love that. Perfect. All right, Terry, before we get to the next one here, Becky has one that I think it might be.
Is it a joke about VCRs? Because we're not accepting any of those.
No. You can send your VCR jokes to terrycombs.com. No. Okay. So what Becky says is, what lights me up and I love to talk about is not the same as my employees. So how do I market myself to small businesses marketing when my order takers would rather talk about band? So Terry, I've got a couple of thoughts, but do you have any thoughts on that one?
Well, I agree 100% that your employees do not have the same approach as you do, and I'll take a step back too, and I'll let you get a little deeper. But when I surveyed all the employees about what benefits the company has to offer, and high up on the list was, if I do a really good job, sometimes I get movie tickets for me and my spouse. So the rest of us have a different approach on that, but I'll let you be more specific to that question.
No, I mean, I think you're heading in the exact right way. Eric actually says employees never remember cash bonuses. He said, I gave an employee a 6-pack of IPA for doing a good job, and he still talks about that today. And I think a big part of being a business owner is understanding, especially when we have employees, is understanding what lights them up and then making sure that there's that correlation. When we had Matt Granados on talking about motivating the unmotivated, it was basically that. It's truly understanding what is important to them, what they're working on, what they're passionate about, and then figuring out how you can correlate that, right, to what lights them up. And then how does those two things, their job of being an order taker versus what is important to them, how do those two things match up? And then I guess the other thing that I would say in this, Terry, and I'd love to get your feedback on this too, is you mentioned Brett Bowden, and I think he's a great example of this too, is that there are times where if this, what lights you up doesn't light up your employees, then they may be a fine employee, but they might not be the right fit for your company. You said specifically that Brett's a band guy, and all the people that work there are band people, right? So,
Right.
I think that's the other thing, and that's the harder thing, because if you've got a good employee, but yet they're not at that level of understanding the niche and wanting to be a part of that niche and wanting to be passionate about it, then it might be a little more challenging.
Well, I think a big part of that too is communicating with your employees. There's a lot of assumption that that everybody in our company understands our goals and understands where we're trying to get and why we do this and why we do that. And when I've had employees, I've rarely ever said, "Okay, we're shifting gears. Here's what we're doing," without having an in-depth explanation of why. Here's why we're doing this thing. Here's why we've been in the school market. 98% of what we do. Guess what? The schools are all closed. And this was several months ago, but this was a conversation that we had with Pete Lovelace. We got to figure something else out. So that I can keep each one of you employed. And Lon Winters, at Graphic Elephants, he talked about every single week that he would have a meeting with all of his employees saying, okay, here's where we are financially. Here's where we are about keeping your job. Here's where we are about business we're trying to get to replace business that we've lost. So I think a lot of it is, there are, unfortunately, I'm afraid the majority of business owners kind of get into a tunnel and don't think it's important for the employees to understand their business. The employee's supposed to come punch the clock and print a shirt. Why do they need to know where we're going? Because if they know where you're going, if they know why you're going there, they're going to buy in and they're going to be a much better employee. So.
Yeah, I love that. That's exactly where I was hoping you would go with it. And you and I may have shared a few stories over the years.
I was going to say we might have had this conversation a few times.
Yep. All right, Terry. Well, we're one niche concept in, and
hey, can I jump and do one more? Because this impressed the heck out of me. This is something that my son Mike down in Texas. He works for a company. He's a sales manager for a company, and they have employees all over the country. So this isn't necessarily a COVID situation, but this is a common situation. Yeah. I mean, look at me. I work for Equipment Zone. Equipment Zone is in Franklin Lakes, New Jersey, and I live in Arizona because, snow. And
we discussed that at the top of the show. Yes.
But so my son, his company had a meeting of I think it was managers and supervisors, something like that, and they used to get together for this meeting. They don't fly in for this meeting, so he gets this box, and inside is box number 1, box number 2, box number 3. The first day of their 3-day online meeting, okay, open box number 1. And it's got some literature in there. It's got some bling from the company. It's got snacks to have at break time. And then the next day, box number 2, box number 3, and the kicker for me was they were going to have drinks and cigars at the end of day number 3. So on day number 3, knock on the door. It's a courier service with a box of cigars and hands it to him for the event that night. And I just thought, what a cool concept that is translatable to what we do, for sales meetings or things like that, where you're not able to do those events. Company holiday party, where you could send out party supplies, maybe mixer or whatever. I just thought, what a really cool thing. And I could tell that, and my son had only been at that company for, at that time, just a few months. And I just remember him being super impressed with the thought that went into that. Well, we as decorators can take care of that thinking it over. All they have to do is provide us with whatever literature or whatever you wanted to put in there that isn't related to decorated garments. But I just love that idea.
Oh, I think it's a fantastic idea. And like you said, we can facilitate that. And then that becomes a value added service. The stuff, the things that you're decorating is, kind of the vehicle to get you there. But it's the other part of it, right? It is that fulfillment. It is that planning. It is that, kind of helping them navigate all that. Let them stay focused on what their business is. And this is a niche that you could do it. Maybe you're, think about this. If you're somebody that's a decorator, but you're also, typically the one that's, planning the family holiday parties, or, the kind of the coordinator of all the events around you. Huh. Interesting. This could be a niche market that really does you well. And again, it could be anything. And then that takes you where you need to go with your decorating business, but you have this service that is the thing that you're marketing. So
Exactly.
I love that. I love that. And then Eric says your show is a niche focused on the decorating apparel business. Absolutely.
Look at that.
Yeah. Yeah. We're not, we're not gonna.
I don't know how successful we'll be at it, but this is year number 9.
Yeah. 9 years, but we're not out there trying to be everything to everybody. I've had friends that they know that I do a podcast, and they're like, "Oh, I want to go check out your podcast." I'm like, "No, you don't. You're not a decorator. You just, if you want to, sure, we'll have some laughs. Sure, we're kind of fun to, and all the regulators jumping in and all that stuff's great. But unless you're a decorator, and that's okay with me, right? And that's okay with Terry and Eric, and that's what niche marketing is all about. So, and then Christine, fantastic comments, but I don't have. We got to get to a couple more niche. So Christine, will come back to you later, or or just if you're listening to the podcast version, make sure you get over to our Facebook page at facebook.com/2regularguys, and then you can get in and see all these comments. Keep the comments going, reply, whatever, all that kind of fun stuff. All right, Terry. My next one, green renewable energy, those kinds of areas. I think that's it's interesting because there's certainly a lot of discussion about it, but I'm not so sure there's a whole lot of folks that it's kind of a niche that I think is wide open. I think there's some opportunities there. I think people kind of look at it and go, yeah, I'm interested, but then nobody's really doing a whole lot more beyond saying, yeah, I agree, we should be doing that. But what is it that you can do to promote that? We've had gentlemen on our show a couple times that we got to meet at ThreadX, Skya Nelson from Fed by Threads, and their business is basically built around that. They use sustainability and green and those types of things that they're really passionate about as a marketing vehicle for their company. And he talks about the fact that, yeah, they get a premium for that, or that but they're very transparent, and Sky is out there talking all the time to people about the whole sustainability piece of it. Not as a, hey, I'm here to talk about my shirts. I'm here to talk about sustainability. And that's his passion. And then he brings that in, and it just happens that they also sell shirts in that realm, and things like, I hear talk about hemp more so now today. And I know that this goes back and forth. I when I first got into the industry back in the early 2000s, I remember a big discussion about hemp quite a bit, and then things changed. But we're kind of back to that cycle, I think, now too. So what are your thoughts there, Terry?
Well, it's interesting. I had a conversation about 2 or 3 weeks ago with Mel Lay, who runs All Made Apparel for Sanmar, and we talked for maybe 15 minutes. About 1 minute was spent talking about these shirts feel great on and they print beautifully. The other 14 minutes we talked about sustainability and how excited she was about how much less water they use to make their products, and how they recycle water bottles to put into their products, and the kind of cotton they use to make their new 100% cotton garments. And some people may not know that. It's just been a soft introduction at Sanmar, but it's every business today needs to tell a story. And I don't care if you're printing out of your garage or you're All Made Apparel, who has an awesome story, but today's business world, you don't hang out your shingle and say 144 white T-shirts screen printed for $4.99. People want to buy from a company that has a story to tell, and you're right, Aaron. Sustainability is the buzz phrase of the last year or so, and beyond. But it's not going away, and people want to buy that product. And guess what? They'll pay a little more for that product if it has a positive story for the environment, positive story for the people making those products. So It's kind of like what you were talking about, your passion. You just have to say to Mel, well, talk to me about sustainability. And Mitch, you'll just go and go and go.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So speaking of that, Terry, I'm going to put it out there to the public here. I'm calling on you. Let's get her on the show then. Let's talk about that.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Mel's. She was on the show, but it was like 4 years ago. I don't know if we've had her on since then. But
she was just on, I think, briefly with us when she was still with Sandy Lake Clothing, and just a quick conversation at ThreadX. I don't think we ever had her on a full show.
So maybe it's 3 years ago.
The first ThreadX ever, whenever 2018, something like that. I don't know. Whenever decorators and cars with cookies happened. So,
and I always, that's right. But I always make her tell the story about how she started out, and it's so relatable to people in our industry because we all kind of fell into this. She just wanted to stay home and take care of her kids, her preschool kids, and so she set up a screen printing business in her garage and just pounded on social media about go on this journey with me. Yeah. And she's now running All Made Apparel.
Yeah, for sure. It's a great story. All right, Terry. So you got time for a little bonus time here?
I do.
Okay. All right. Well,
do
then
you?
If you I've got 30 minutes, 29 minutes.
Okay.
So we'll see what we can do here. But before we get into the next one, then, if you're going to allow me some extra time here, Eric says, I love All Made t-shirts. However, how do I explain the All Made story to a construction worker? People don't get it. And then Eric followed that up with, I'd love to have Mel on the show so she can help us sell All Made. And in a sense there, Terry, I think Eric maybe answered his own question. I think kind of reaching out to people like Mel, people involved with All Made that have that passion is a great place to start and say, okay, Mel, I love your stuff. I love what's going on here. My customers don't get it. How can you help me explain that story? What's it going to mean for them? Right. But then you have to be specific about who your customer is exactly. So you can't just go, hey, help me sell this stuff. You got to go back to them and say, okay, here's what I'm doing. Here's what I've tried. Here's what's worked. Here's what hasn't worked. What else can I do? How can we partner up? How can we collaborate? So go ahead, Terry.
Well, I was just going to say, and it's maybe not the perfect product for every scenario, but there is something to be said for construction and letting them share with their customers what they're doing for the environment, right down to the t-shirts our crew wears, that are sustainably made and that sort of thing. But it's really a matter of how you approach your market. But it's going to be more important to customer A than it is to customer B. So you just kind of have to decide if that's part of the story you want to tell.
Yeah, because the other part of it is that's All Made's story, right?
Right.
How do you identify with All Made's story? How much are you living that and breathing that, and how much is that part of your story too? So, it definitely there's a lot of moving parts, but I think
collaborating. And I think my story as a selling to construction is more in the fact that I know you go through a lot of employees and a lot of contractors, but I can provide that package for each of your workers. Just send me their size, and I'll get the package over to them, and that sort of thing. So maybe I'm not telling the same sustainability story. I'm going to make this really, really easy for you, so that you don't have to go in the back office when you hire someone to look for 3 medium t-shirts and a hoodie and realize that the medium t-shirt box is empty. So you have to call a screen printer to order another 144 shirts so you can get a better price. I'm going to sell you I'm going to make this easy for you to do. I'm the warehouse. I'm going to take care of that. You never have to go back and dig through a box in the warehouse again. So it's just a matter of finding the story that you want to tell that matches your niche market.
All right. Sounds good. That's perfect, Terry. Eric says, can you send us her contact info? I didn't realize she worked for Sanmar. She works for All Made, but I think she's involved in the relationship that they have with Sanmar now, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. All right.
It's allmadeapparel.com. You can find her.
Yeah, and she's kind of become the face of the brand for sure. So
Right.
I'm sure she'll be easy to find, but Eric will reach out here. So all right, Terry, what's next here? What do you got next for us?
Oh, I just let me skip down
Okay.
to hyper focused niche, and what I mean by that is not only who you're selling to, but what you're selling. And the reason I bring this up is I talked to 3 different companies, and one of them's right here in Phoenix. All they do is decorate pillows. Some of them are just bed pillows. You know, some of them are stuffed pillows, but they're all either, for the most part, either sublimating or doing direct to garment on them. But that's their niche, and you go to their websites, and all you see there are pillows. And what they're selling though is for weddings, for for kids with cartoon figures on them, and but it's just hyper focused. But from a production standpoint, if all I'm doing is pillows, man, I am banging pillows out the door. It's just so I know, Aaron, you had a couple of examples of this as well.
Yeah. But I love your point about from the production standpoint. That's a really good point. I mean, you'll see all over the Facebook groups out there, I'm having trouble with this, I'm having trouble with that. And it's like, okay, yep, you're okay. Now you're doing this here. And then, okay, you're having trouble with this here. And it's like, what is it that you do like all the time? Right. And let's get that process down to like a T, and just make sure that boy, like, pillows is a great example. We're doing pillows. We know everything there is to know about doing pillows, how to ship them and all that. So, because the problem with pillows, just as a quick note here, the problem with pillows is inserts or not inserts. Because if you're sending them with inserts, you're shipping air. And when you're shipping air, that, shipping costs are based on dimensional weight nowadays, not actual weight. So anyhow, that's a whole different ball game, different story there. But that hyper focus of that will also really change your business from a profitability standpoint, because you can get super good at it. For example, we do a little bit of sublimation stuff here. My wife does, and we did a ton of masks, did a ton of sublimation masks over the course of 2020, and I mean, I push print and I hand them to her, and next thing I know, it's like, holy crap, you're done with those already? And she's got it down, right? It's like you become so good at it that it just becomes second nature. So I think that's a really important point to make here about being hyper focused in your niche. A couple of other niche areas that I've seen. I know people that are exclusively doing socks. So that's a potential niche market. It's been interesting to see some of them. Even you would think that if I'm only doing socks, that's a pretty narrow niche, but they've niched down even further than only doing socks. They're only putting pet pictures on socks, right? Yeah. And so it's like, holy crap, but they just kill it at it because that's all they're doing. That's their message, and it's like they're going from there. Then once they get really good at socks, you can see them expanding. Maybe we'll do some other, some shirts or some different things like that, but focusing in on that. And then another niche that I think, I don't know if it's necessarily underserved, but I think that the market is so massive that there's opportunities there because the maternity, the newborn stuff, because here's the deal. There's no season on that. Kids are being born all the time, all day, every day. There's no seasonality to that. So, you're not worried about that. There's always a new customer available. And so things like swaddles and crib sheets and blankets and onesies and, bink holders or whatever you call those things. I mean, I've seen all sorts of crazy and fun and neat and cute baby products. So there's another hyper focused market that you can get into.
That was what I was thinking of as well, Aaron, because I talked to someone out in California, and she sells on Etsy, and she has a direct-to-garment printer, but she leaves the 4x4 platen on her machine all the time. In fact, she has an 8-up platen. so she can print 8 onesies at one time. And that's her entire marketplace is onesies. But obviously, like you said, there's no season to it. And as long as you can get that reach out there, the business is there to be had. I, by the way, have a new granddaughter coming probably on Monday. So
wow. Geez, you had a whole bunch of kids, and now you got a whole bunch of grandkids too.
I know. I have
Look at that grow.
this will be number 6.
Yeah. Wow. So Doug says niche market idea, military veterans, check with the VA or VFW groups, web pages. I'll buy anything with my old squadron or wing insignia on it for myself or events. Yeah, the military is definitely a great niche market idea.
Yeah, I've certainly talked to many decorators that is all they do. Aaron, we used when we were at US Screen, we had a customer that owned coffee shops at the Marine base at 29 Palms, and was getting into T-shirts, and specifically they weren't going to sell to anybody but all those squadrons and groups there at the base. Well, when my son-in-law is a naval officer, and when he was at officer candidate school, one of his jobs was to go to a local screen printer and get the shirts for his group. And there was somebody assigned to that every group that came through. So it's a big marketplace, and if you are military or former military, you got the inside track because you understand what they want and what they need.
Exactly. Because, I think that's a great point, and leads into what I wanted to say about that too, Terry, is that because the other part of it is you do have to have that understanding, right? So if you're going, okay, I'm just going to go do military because I think it's a great market, and you know nothing about it. You had mentioned
because I really loved Hacksaw Ridge. Yeah.
It's like it's going to show real quick. Things aren't going to be right. It's going to be, you won't have the right insignia. You won't have the right whatever, right? So yeah, be careful of that. There's some great niche marketing ideas that a lot of people have, but just because it's a great idea for them doesn't mean it's going to be a great idea for you, right? Unless you're willing to go immerse yourself in it and find something that lights you up inside of that. So you don't necessarily have to be a veteran, but you have to have a passion for serving veterans to be able to get into something like that. So, all right, Terry. Well, I've got one last one here before we get to your 5 things. Okay. And I think this one will be brief because it's kind of a little bit of a play on the company event packages that you had before. But I think you could do something similar in the education world, with more and more online classes. For example, our next door neighbor, she just graduated high school last year and is off to college this year, and
she's virtual college.
And the college she's going to is actually within walking distance from our house. It's the community college up the street here, but she's not, far as I know, she's not stepped foot on campus. Right. So, but you think about the college experience. All of the people that are so fervent in their fandom of Kansas in Terry's case and stuff like that. How many Kansas hats do you have, or mugs, or different things that represents that school? And if you're not on campus anymore, you're missing a little bit of that connection. You're not getting that rabid fan connection because you don't have the physical things to draw you in. I mean, I remember I went out the other day and was walking through the farm and home supply store and saw a young man that had a hat, a sweatshirt, and even I think his jacket as well. Or no, so it was his shirt, and then he had a jacket and a hat that were all decked out with one of the local colleges, Lindenwood schools. And I'm thinking, man, that's not a big name school that a lot of people would hear, but he's all in, right? And so how do you create that? And it could be something like create a new student package similar to like what you had with the company events. Can you reach out to your local community college? Can you reach out to some of the folks, the new alternative schools and things like that, to where you're giving them again that physical piece that they can make a connection with that brand?
Well, look at when you have a freshman student go off to college. I had two sons who went to Kansas, twins, so it was one trip, and a daughter who went to Arizona State. Well, what do when you take them to campus? You go to the bookstore, and not only does the student get their Kansas gear or their Arizona State gear, but parents do too. You got to go home with the gear, and that isn't happening. That's a really, really good idea, Aaron. And I think being able to, even the community college, being able to like Scottsdale Community College, I'd buy one of these shirts. They are the Scottsdale Community College Fighting Artichokes. So
yes, they are.
And that's what happens when you have a student vote on what your school mascot should be.
yeah, but they all love it and they all connect to it. I forgot all about that.
Exactly. But to say to that school, hey, and we'll pay you this percentage of it, but we want to be able to reach out to all of the students and all the parents, and they'd probably be all about it, because not only do they make a little profit from it, but they've got a lot of people making connection to that school and out promoting that school. So I love that idea.
Yeah. I mean, think about this, Terry. The main reason that most sports take place at schools is not because they're moneymakers, outside of your football and basketball and some of the big ones. Those other sports are not moneymakers for the college. They are a brand ambassador kind of program for the college. So
sure,
think about that, right? You help them with their brand and getting out there to people. So
exactly.
All right, Terry. Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground. Really great stuff there, Terry. Thank you for bringing it all together. Yep, thanks. So let's see here. I think this is Todd logged in to our success group, said this was so hard to buy overpriced garbage printed shirts from the school store. Yeah. So, all right, Terry. Well, you've got 5 things for us as well. So
I do.
Let's hit the 5 things, and then let's see what Terry's got for us here.
All right. Here are my 5 things or 5 ways to get a great DTG print. Number 1, start with good art. 300 DPI saved at full size. No 72-inch or 72 DPI downloads from the internet. Number 2, the ideal shirt. And the ideal shirt for DTG is 100% ring spun combed cotton. Number 3, properly pre-treated shirts. Please do not go to the internet to learn how to pre-treat a shirt. Almost all of it's wrong. so
except for the video you did. Other than that,
exactly. Number 4, 40% plus humidity in the room with your printer at all times. This is critically important to proper running of the machine, and it's true of all direct-to-garment printers. Number 5, a good quality heat press or DTG specific conveyor dryer. And Aaron and I preach about buying a good quality heat press. Get a good quality heat press. So those are my 5 ways to get a great DTG print.
Yeah, so those are fantastic. I love every single one of those, Terry. So good point there. The other real quick, if you don't mind me adding something, I know we said 5 things are just to go, but I want to add something.
You can be Eric. You can do 6.
Okay. Well, just back to your number 1, you said good art, 300 DPI saved at full size. I just want to remind people that if you've got a 72 DPI piece of art and you blow it up to 300 at full size, that's not the same thing as actually having
True.
So I just want to make sure everybody's clear on that.
Excellent point. You're exactly correct.
So that whole thing is a big problem for folks. So and then real quick also, Eric says very informative show today, but then he said I haven't been able to watch recently, but is Terry okay after the Super Bowl? I don't see many beer photos on Facebook.
I'm okay, because we still have Patrick Mahomes and he's 24 years old. So see you next year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't think the Chiefs are going anywhere, unfortunately, for the non-Chief fans out there. But
I think they might have a little bit of a run like New England did. So
yeah, good. All right, well, good. Glad you hear you're okay. Terry, what else do you have coming up here?
Well, my 5 things came from this. On Tuesday, February 23rd, Jeff Morgenthaler and I will be doing a kind of a 30-minute webinar on the index of the perfect DTG print. So we created this index to show you how to get to that perfect print. That's going to be at 3 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Center of the Universe time. Sign up for that free webinar at equipmentzone.com. March 25th, I'll be presenting a live DAX online seminar, so you can ask questions. Aaron, you'll be facilitating that.
Yeah.
What do I really need to buy when starting a screen printing business? Because, suppliers aren't going to necessarily tell you the wrong thing. They just might not know the best thing for you to buy. My complete screen printing business course with workhorse products in Phoenix. Here's the announcement.
Yes.
April 17th and 18th. I will warn people, within 24 hours of announcing it, we filled the class 25% full. So it's gonna fill up fast. My complete screen printing business course with Atlas Screen Supply in Chicago is May 22nd, 23rd. I need to get an update from them on signups, and you can find all of my events at terrycombs.com under the tour dates tab. How about you, Aaron?
That's great. I'm glad to hear that you got that announcement in Phoenix. Definitely hopeful that we all get back together soon and live face to face. I'm hopeful you guys are able to pull that off. I feel good about it, Terry. So.
Yeah, I do too. It's a small group. We limit it to about 20 people anyway. They've got a big classroom there, so people will be spread out, and we'll have masks on when we're actually on the machines and things like that. So I'm pretty confident, and Arizona's pretty open. So
okay, good. And yeah, you guys are taking the right precautions and all that kind of fun stuff, so everybody will be safe. So, and obviously people are excited about it since you got 25% of it already full. That's incredible.
Yeah.
All right, for me, Terry, in about 9 minutes here, Eric and I will be putting on the third episode of The Half with Eric Campbell and myself. It's a quick 30-minute Q&A, and no matter where we're at in the conversation, we both we've had 2 shows, and both of us have been cut off mid-sentence at that 30-minute mark. It's hilarious, and it's a lot of fun. But it's fun. It's a quick 30-minute Q&A, and so we go from there. That's happening in. Oh, now 8 minutes, right? So got to wrap up here.
Eric's over there going, wrap up.
Yeah. That's why he's been doing this the whole time. All right.
You thought he was saying huzzah, huzzah.
Yeah. Exactly. And then tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., I mentioned this already, but Cheryl is going to be joining me over there at Small Business Saturdays. And so looking forward to having her on. And you can check that out at facebook.com/Our Success Group Pro or over at Live OSG. And you can also catch The Half at both those places, or you can find it on Eric's channels. But the other thing tomorrow morning, Terry, is I'm going to be announcing a new change for Small Business Saturday that I'm really excited about because it has to do with the success principles, and going to give me an opportunity to really go deeper into that and kind of give more value on Small Business Saturdays and kind of focus on Our Success Group members. So I'm really excited about that announcement that I'll be making tomorrow morning as well.
Very cool.
Yeah. And then April 5th, DAX Online Seminar. Those are spread out over a couple of weeks. I'm really excited about it. We're getting all the details together, kind of getting all the shows produced and prepared. So I'm presenting on April 5th, Conquering Fear and Live to Tell About It. We'll talk about how small businesses can overcome their fears and be able to step outside their comfort zone, and basically share some techniques that you can, confront fear and push your way through it and, turn it into the art of success. We've got a whole flywheel of things that you can do to kind of make that happen. And then, as Terry mentioned, on April 7th, I will be talking about finding your niche for more success. As you guys have just heard, we really believe in how important it is to find a niche, and we'll walk through the steps and figure out how to find your niche. So that's happening on April 7th. Go to daxshow.com for that. And then Eric is also got coming up here today at 2:30 Mountain Time. Take Up episode number 53. Today it's about money making with machine embroidery, segment styles, and customer profiles. So make sure you check out the Take Up, and you can find that at ericcampbell.com. Eric will also be presenting at DAX, as I mentioned. He's going to be talking about moving from hobby to pro and also e-commerce for embroidery. So I think both really great topics. Real excited about all of our topics and all the other stuff happening over there at daxshow.com. And maybe on the half, I'll try to pin down Eric today on the new webinars coming soon. So
there you go. Yeah.
I just saw him.
Don't wait till the end, because
Yeah.
he'll just start talking, knowing he's going to be cut off.
I'm going to have to bring that up right at the beginning. Good point, Terry. Thank you for reminding me of that. So, all right, Terry. Well, we've gone well into a bonus time. Thank you guys so much for being here. Terry, great job. We've come to the close of another show.
All right. We also want to thank our show producer, Eric Campbell, for all the things he does to make this show better each and every week.
Yep. Thank you very much, Eric. Next week, we've got Scott Ritter back with us. And if you don't know who Scott Ritter is, he's with the DAX show. And he actually sent me an email this week, Terry, and let me know that he's got a free gift for everybody who tunes into the show. So
nice.
he didn't tell me.
Is that
what.
For the hosts also? Or
I hope so. I hope so. He didn't tell me what. He would not tell me what, but he's got something, a surprise for us. So make sure you don't miss that. Again, same time next week, right here, same location.
Always fun to have Scott on the show. Yeah. And Aaron, until then, I'm Terry Combs. He's Aaron Montgomery.
And we are the Two Regular Guys.
Here we go. We're out. Awesome.
Thank you for listening to Two Regular Guys. Check out our website at tworegularguys.com. That's the number 2, regularguys.com. You can also interact with us over at our Facebook page, facebook.com/tworegularguys, or send us a tweet, twitter.com/tworegularguys. And we have a YouTube page. You can find all that from our website, tworegularguys.com. Thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to spending some time with you again next week.